Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Be mindful of leaders. It's Edward again. Thought I'd check in, and I've been receiving a bit of feedback on micromanagement, the topic of micromanagement. And so I wanted to do sort of things to look out for, what falls under micromanagement. Because I think all too often we default to that all the time. But what is it? What are the things we should look for? And this might actually help you if you're pursuing a new position or doing job interviews. Some questions that you could ask, or if you're talking to your maybe up and coming new boss, the hiring manager, um, you might you might pick up on certain things and formulate some questions around that. Or you could look at ways of helping your manager if you're reporting into someone that seems to micromanage. So without kind of coming into it, brute force. But so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And one of the first things that comes to mind for me is the constant oversight of a lead or a manager, director, um, constantly looking for updates frequently all the time. And I find that this is there's a couple things that are probably going on here, and one is that I think from a perspective of looking at someone that's always asking for updates is they're either very anxious and are too busy, or you're giving updates and they're not listening really, and nothing's changed in the last 5 minutes. So, or they don't comprehend all the mechanisms that go into place to make things happen. And especially as a manager, if they're constantly asking for updates, mostly it's triggered from them being asked for updates. So it's just going downstream, and it really should stop at the manager, and the manager has to push back at the updates as far as the level of detail and how often and stuff like that. So, if you're a new manager or, or a mature manager, been in it for a while, this can be easy to fall into, right? When things go really busy and you don't know the answer, well, you pass it along. And what you're doing is you're enabling the behavior of whoever's asking for it. Plus, you're paralyzing your staff from continuing their work with constant interruptions. So, I think that's kind of what I look at as oversight constantly, and around delegation. And you might be delegated something, and then you lack the autonomy to work on things, and your staff doesn't really feel that they can make decisions without you having to know about it. So that's a bit toxic, in my opinion. And from what I've seen, is that you're enabling them with strings attached to your staff, and those strings disable everything. And that it kind of drives this whole micromanagement type thing where your manager, your lead has to know everything and has to make decisions for you. So if you're, depending on which side, if you're if you're the individual contributor, yeah, I feel you. And for all you leaders or managers, and all I can say is stop it. Stop doing that. You need to delegate properly and give power to your team, to your people. And I know that it can be a bit uneasy at times, but start small. Start with small things that they can make day to day, because you can't make all the decisions, and you don't have all the information at hand to make those proper decisions. You need the people on the front line, even the leads, right, in their small teams that they work with, to come to you and answer your questions. So the best thing to do is, if you need updates, ask appropriate questions, right? Not low level, because whoever you're passing it to doesn't need the low level, right? So So that would be another thing that you could work on. Um, Along in lines of that is your manager or micromanager in this case, hypothetically, um, asking too many questions or questioning your decisions. Uh, this comes from a point of insecurity, and it tears down trust. So I think that, well, I know that you leaders out there either need to stop it or or uh, or understand where I'm coming from with showing that you're asking key questions that make a difference to how you, as a leader, formulate change in direction or further delegation or updates in timelines and deliverables and so forth. So another thing I noticed is that, especially in the software development realm and software quality, is one area in particular that I've had struggles with, I guess, is trying to sell sort of out of the box thinking as far as how to test and how to further develop and make a solid product, software product. And so I've always been thinking out of the box of how to accomplish this, how to simulate the user environment, both back end and front end. But you can apply this to any niche you're working in. And the problem is that a lot of people are very sort of theoretical about things they've been taught in school or things that they've learned. And I've always felt that you need to step out of the box in order to see things clearer. And one area is, especially around, and what I'm trying to get to here is innovation, right? You need to be able to innovate and this come up with different ideas. And this involves getting your team to think out of the box too, to think a different way. And if you're coming into a new team or an established team, then you need to be communicative and share your thoughts on how your thought process on things. And most of the time, the staff will be very very welcoming of this. Others might find it like, well, I don't know what you mean. I don't, they're very finite in they want step by step things, and so it's you need to tailor it to each individual staff member. But I find there's a real stifling of innovation, at least within my realm. I don't know about yours. I mean, please comment and let me know. Is there innovation? Are you able to innovate? Do you allow your staff to come up with cool different ideas, in marketing and how to make the customer service more stellar, right? So yeah, share your thoughts on that. I'd be interested. Yeah, I find overall the industries are they say they're innovative, but it's usually coming from one person, top down, and there's this real stifling of innovation at the mid to lower level. And I think that a lot of people really love the opportunity to explore and to try different things. Is really the fear of making mistakes. So this ties into the manager lead really being anxious, right? And I'd like to go into another video about this whole thing because all too often people are focused on the end result, whether it's a pass or fail, success or failure, instead of using that to feed it upstream to make the outcome more predictable. And I find that people are very reactive. They wait until the end. So leaders or managers will basically say, blah, here's what I want, and they'll walk away. And they won't come back until there's the end result. And then they blame the team, or no, you didn't understand my requirements, or this why isn't this done on time, and this is not what I wanted. Um, and then that's a reaction, right? A reaction to the end result, and we want to get away from that as leaders. We want to be able to feel the pulse along the way without micromanaging. We want to be very clear and concise in our requirements, and the type of reporting mechanism that you'd like to see back as far as reports and so forth. And you can only do that by, you can't penalize or punish your staff for the end result. You have to look at that as an opportunity to work upstream and figure out what went wrong, right? Is it your communication? Is it the way that it was deciphered? Were there other external influences that may have caused this? Budget, time, effort. So there's all the stuff to look upstream, right? It could be processes that need to be changed, and so forth, training. So really look at that rather than get reactive. So a real micromanager will set it and forget it until the end result, and that is just not what we want to see. And that is very ingrained, at least in my experience in my domain. And I'm sure that it's across the board, because again, we all react, right? We all react to things that when we see it at the end result. So I think it's human nature, but it's something that it'll create anxiousness within your team, that they don't know what they're going to see at the end, or they don't know what your reaction's going to be, or others, right? Because you have to defend your team also against others in the company, or external customers of some sort, and sort of take hold and take charge and figure out. You could almost call it like an after action report, saying, okay, well, this isn't what we wanted to see, but let's dive into this, right? And maybe do it as a team, depending on if a whole team involved. What went wrong? Or am I the only one that thinks this is not the way it should have turned out? Try to figure it out. Be part of it. Be humble and vulnerable, as saying, well, I could be part of the problem. So let's just have the dialogue to figure this out, so that we can all join in a successful outcome next time, right? And do better. And again, some of this is at the individual level too, not a team level. And if you a micromanager will react too much, you'll never get someone to try to do better. They just won't want to do. They won't want to take on. They won't want to innovate. They won't want to make decisions. They will leave it up to you, because they don't want the aftermath. So the last one is really a high turnover rate in employees, right? There's a multitude of reasons. Just to give you my stance on this, I've had a very low attrition rate through my career, and part of that is accepting that people, I support people's growth, whether it be with my team or internally or externally to another company. I never hold someone like I never hold someone in bad light for wanting to progress in their career. So I've always been supportive of that. I like to hire or promote internally first. And so the only attrition is out of, bad performance, bad behavior that I can't seem to correct, right? And then there's no alternative, right? And I've had my share of that, but it's been very low throughout my career. What in turn, though, is if you have a micromanager that reacts to everything at the end and anxious, and it gets the whole team sort of bound up, right? They'll either react and start letting people go because of their performance, even though they won't even try to work with the person on improving their performance or improving their motivation. So it's kind of a ripple effect. All this micromanager sort of behavior will in turn, you will see a high turnover rate. So again, if you're looking for a job, and you get the sense of that they just can't find the right person, they keep hiring and firing, you might want to think twice or dive into that a little bit more. Because usually if there's a high turnover rate, it's either at the team level or the company level, unless they're doing a whole revamp and reorganization. So, but that's one of the last key things I would think. So, let me know what your experience is with micromanagers, or if you're a micromanager. We'll keep it anonymous. But I'd be interested because we all learn, and I've going from an individual contributor myself to senior leadership, I've gone through this, right? It's growing pains. So, don't think you can't change. You just you have to want to change, and especially because you've got other people relying on you, and your decisions and your behavior affects everyone, and people take this home with them too. And so I encourage you to take the necessary little steps, right, to make it work for you, to alleviate some of your workload and some of your anxiety, and that will pass through and show a much more calm and confident leader amongst your team and the rest of the company. And so with that, please subscribe or follow and like if you like this. Love that. Love likes. And we'll see you next time. Be well.